back to Interjections, everyone. Fresh off a great, unexpected 5-1 drubbing of Monza. Lots to talk about. I'm your host, Andrew. Irfan, what's going on, man?
Hey, doing well. Everything is good. Strong win. Felt like we were at home. It was awesome.
Basically, we're only 30 minutes outside the city.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, what's up?
Yeah, very, as you said, unexpected smashing of Monza, so couldn't be happier. Up until the final minute, I was afraid of a 5-5 tie, but otherwise fairly straightforward victory.
Gagliardini has been known to pull off last-minute hat tricks. Miko, how are you doing?
Yeah, thanks. Great. Doing fine. And looking forward to chatting about the game.
So, Inter did a great job relieving all immediate pressure on this match, courtesy of a Gagliardini handball in the box and a very nice counter-attacking Lautaro goal. Got off to a 2-0 lead around the 15-minute mark, and considering how poorly we've played the last few matches, it was really nice to assert ourselves early, and just the satisfaction of Gagliardini being the reason we have a lead in this fixture is something few men can put into words. So, Irfan, I'm going to task you with that challenge of how did it feel finally getting a positive contribution to Inter via Gagliardini?
That was like such a great start, mainly for that reason. To be honest, like that, it was a harsh penalty. Like by the rules, it was obviously the right call, but he didn't know that much about it. Lautaro pretty much headed the ball right into his hand while he was jumping. So it was a tough call, but yeah, it couldn't have been a better situation. Now, I just wish, as much as I dislike Gagliardini, it pales in comparison to how much I dislike João Mario. So while it was certainly fulfilling, it kind of reminded me of what João Mario did to us, and so I immediately went back to a kind of bad place. But then, obviously, watching Hakan slot in that penalty was beautiful. He always, I just wish I was competent in any area of my life the way Hakan is with making penalties, because it's truly an art form and it's great to watch. And then also the Lautaro goal, like you said, was a great team goal. But to me, what's great about this match was you could see how comfortable we are when you have DeMarco, Thuram, and Lautaro starting. And I think we've lacked that for a while and suffered for it. So it was great to see all three of them connecting consistently during that match. So, yeah, it was beautiful.
Now, as well as we started when we went up 2-0 early, there was a good 10-minute stretch maybe where it's like, okay, we're going to let Monza back in this match. And that culminated with us completely losing Pessina on a corner and him basically having a free run on goal that was somehow kept offside courtesy of his arm just slightly extending past Bastoni's backside. Jay, I'm sure you were fully expecting us to collapse at that point.
Yeah. We got very lucky, as you said. A hilarious VAR picture, if there ever was one, with Bastoni doing this like kind of twerking freeze frame. And I mean, as you said, there was a 10-minute period or so where Monza kind of got back into the game, but it was always going to happen, you know. They're at home. They're not like, despite how they played yesterday, and I guess they've been a bit underwhelming this season, but they're not that bad a side. So you do expect some kind of self-respecting reaction from them. That's what we saw. That's what culminated in the goal, and they were unlucky that they happened to be offside. But yeah, I guess I'll start by saying the most pleasing thing about yesterday was the return to form of sorts. As you said, we have not been good for the past two games against Verona and Genoa. And against Monza, we looked much closer to our normal selves. to our usual level of play. And I think a lot of that was contributed to by the way Monza was set up. I was keeping an eye out for anything that stuck out to me kind of tactically throughout the match, and it was just how kind of poorly organized Monza were. They weren't pressing us that hard, nor were they sitting deep. So they were kind of just in a very standard kind of spread, or a very even kind of spread across the pitch, just leaving large chunks of space, right? And that just allowed us to attack through them vertically with ease, and also helped us find tons of space on the counter as well. So we did a great job of exploiting those gaps in their formation, and yeah, we punished them, thankfully. I'm glad that Thuram got a goal, because I saw it was fairly common sentiment among Inter fans that he was not having a good game, especially for the first half or first hour or so. A lot of kind of touches, or he made the wrong decision a handful of times. I mean, there was one or two times where he had a player kind of behind him completely open. If he had just kind of collected the ball and then turned around to face the goal and then had seen to his right there's a player open, but instead, without kind of thinking about his teammates' positioning, he would just go for like a first time pass back to the receiver. So a lot of people were commenting that he was having an off game, that he didn't have his shooting boots on, and I completely agree. So when you have a player having a game like that, it's always a relief to see them kind of get over that, with a good contribution, with a goal. So very happy that Thuram got that assist to Calhanoglu, and obviously the final goal as well. And final thing I want to say is, again, I feel like I'm kind of rooting against my own team here, because I'm very much a big fan of Fratesi, but Mkhitaryan again showed his importance to the team in this game. Irfan mentioned how the team was so connected with DiMarco and Lautaro and Thuram, and my first thought was it was Mkhitaryan doing all that connecting. He was in that networking role again, just constantly picking up the ball in midfield, driving forward and laying it off to DiMarco or to Lautaro or whatever. And at this point, it's hard to imagine how we'd play without someone doing that role. And in our team, or in our squad at least, there's no one with a kind of comparable skill set to Mkhitaryan. So it'll be interesting to see how that dependence kind of evolves over the course of the season.
So it wasn't a perfect match. We had, like I said, gave up the VAR goal to Pessina, and then Pessina ended up getting one later after Darmian conceded a penalty for the second consecutive match. I thought the penalty last week wasn't entirely his fault, whereas it was poor team defending put him in a difficult situation. Whereas this week's foul and penalty by Darmian was just completely unforced. He had, I think it was Mata in front of him, one-on-one, just went for the ball, completely missed it, took down the defender, easy penalty. So, Miko, do you have any cause for concern here that there's a bigger issue at play? Obviously, Dumfries just has not been fit enough to start at right wing back. We're asking Darmian to play more. On the flip side, Darmian no longer has to play right center back, since yesterday there was a clear pecking order of Pavard and Bissek. So just, do you have any concern, or are you just going to write this off as, okay, two kind of flukes in a row, we're good, business as usual?
Well, actually, I thought about the same thing myself yesterday when he conceded the penalty. It's maybe a bit unusual by Darmian, because he isn't doing these fouls usually. But on the other hand, maybe it's just a coincidence. There's like sample size of 2 now, and I don't remember any kind of other like iffy situations for him. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a concern yet, but let's see. Hopefully he picks it up. I want to comment on the Monza penalty call. I don't think it was a bit like a not a simulated penalty, but Mota, like he really wanted that penalty by he really extended his leg out of his normal like running track or route, or how do you call it. I don't think that should happen, but of course it happens in football, and refs call those penalties or fouls from those kind of situations. But I think that's a bit of cheating by like putting your leg out there so that the defender then kicks it like almost automatically when it comes to defender's way. So I didn't like that penalty call too much, but I also have to say didn't like the our second penalty call either. I think Fratesi really he did the typical thing of running inside the box, and then he just like stops a bit so that the defender just storms him and runs him over, and then he just goes to the ground because he gets the contact from his backside. So I wasn't completely happy with those penalty calls, to be honest.
I will say when the second penalty happened, when Fratesi got knocked down, and then I noticed immediately that Hakan wasn't on the pitch. I was like, "Oh God, please just take the penalty away," because usually Lautaro taking the penalty is like our kiss of death. And regardless of the goal lead, I was convinced that if Lautaro was going to take this penalty, he was probably going to miss it, and then Monza was going to come storming back and get a draw. And so I was immediately concerned about that. But the announcers made a good point about Hakan, which was that I think he's now 7 for 7 on penalties, and then every single time he scores a penalty, Inter wins. And I kept thinking about how that's probably the exact opposite of every time Lautaro takes a penalty. But good on Lautaro to knock that one in. On the penalty calls, I kind of agree with you, Miko. I mean, it's such a fine line in the sense that there are players, when they get into the box, what they would usually do starts to change because they're trying to kind of draw a penalty. I go back to the way Raheem Sterling, just total piece of garbage, did that against Italy, where like there's certain players when they get into the box, you just know that they're going to be looking for some kind of contact. Like just give them an excuse to like fall down or make contact somewhere. So I do think it happens, but for the Darmian one, I mean, it was just he so blatantly clipped him that I don't think the ref, even if he thought that the other player was looking for the contact, could do much for it. The Fratesi one, I kind of agree. Fratesi he literally just kind of like had the ball. He felt the defender behind him, and then he just kind of stopped. So I've actually seen that given a no call more often than I think I've seen that Darmian one given a no call.
Yeah, I agree. I think Fratesi penalty call was like a less of a penalty than the Moto one. Yeah,
I think Fratesi, I mean, like, I don't know if it's, I mean, you can say that he slowed down to make contact, but you see where he was, like pretty much near the sideline. He's got to slow down, otherwise the ball's going out. You know what I mean? He's got to slow down to address the ball, to do something with it, to cross it in or whatever. So I don't really concede that as like baiting the penalty. And I don't know, I just think Akpro, fantastic Limone, long time Inzaghi favorite, by the way. Akpro just kind of failed to adjust to that and ended up just kind of clattering into him at enough force to knock the guy over. So you're right in saying that those are sometimes not given as penalties, but I don't have an issue with it being called a penalty either. It was just kind of, you can't just run into someone, because, they're more agile than you. And then, they control themselves and the ball in a way which, that you can't compete with, and you end up just cluttering into them. That's, not really that's not really fair either. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not too fast with it one way or the other.
Would you have felt the same way if it was Aslani instead of Fratesi? Just asking.
I don't think Aslani would have made that brave, courageous run into the box like Fratesi did.
When I saw Aslani coming on, I was so happy, and then I immediately realized that Hakan had picked up a yellow and was going to be suspended, and then I was very nervous again.
But then you get to be excited because he's starting the next league match.
Exactly, he's going to start against.
I'm excited, but you know what's going to happen. I mean, if we don't win by like 6 goals, everyone's going to be like, "Man, we stink without Aslani." What's
going to happen is he's going to pick up a yellow card in the 35th minute and get subbed off at halftime for the corpse of Sensi, who's transferred.
Who gets injured? Who gets injured? Exactly. Who gets injured and then therefore cannot transfer to Leicester, thereby depriving us of €2 million.
Miko, I do find it funny though. You're talking about these players who like change their behavior in the box. I think we have example 1A on our team in Thuram, who there are times he has definitely, including the match we were at the Frosinone game, where there was no real goal scoring chance here. He's just extending his stride a little bit, trying to win us a penalty, and he's really good at it.
He's fishing for that. He's fishing for that leg.
Yeah, exactly. He knows that if he steps the right way, he'll be able to trip over the defender's leg and get us a penalty.
Yeah, I agree. That's how it is, and I don't totally like it because some of those penalties he's been drawing, they've been like a bit soft in a sense, but then again, mostly it's been like I don't know, defender simply like stomping his foot or like clearly like clipping him. But yeah, I can I can agree with that he's really fishing those penalties on the box. And by the way, yesterday I wouldn't say that he had a bad game apart from those shots he tried to take or took those shots which were nowhere near. I think for me it's usually a good thing if you are around and you get those chances. If you then miss them, okay, that's like not optimal, but usually an offensive player usually misses chances. That's like a default, in my opinion.
I think maybe we have I think I've just kind of crystallized on our grading system. If it's like a school grading, it's like for Miko, maybe if the striker gets in those chances, it's like an A, and then if you score the chances, it's like an A plus. I guess for me, it's like if you get the chances, it's a B, and then when you score them, it's an A kind of thing.
Yeah, some Finnish grade inflation going on here. This is like US Ivy League style. Everyone gets an A for showing up.
Well, except for Jay, it's more like they have to finish into the top corner for an A. If they just put it through the keeper's legs, it's a B plus.
Exactly. I've seen Lautaro score many goals where I'm annoyed at the fact that he scored because I'm like, that shouldn't have been a goal.
Jay's the Russian judge, so of course Miko's all over it. He's like, nah.
Yeah, I'm all looking at the statistically, if you are getting those chances, it's already like a positive thing. But of course, to win the matches, you need to finish them.
But it's one of those things where I feel like the burden of the burden of proof or the burden of restraint kind of shifts, right? Like when you're in the box, when you're the defender, then you do have to kind of play differently than you would if you were out in the field. And that the one good thing about that, I guess, is that everyone knows that. So if you're Darmian or if you're what was it, Jemba, what's his name, Agbak Pro, whatever. If you're one of those guys and you're in your box, you have to be extra careful because the standards are just heightened at that point.
What do you guys think about or thought about our defending in general in this match?
Seems like we still struggle with headers. We're not
dominating as much as I'd like. I mean,
I said 2 weeks ago, it felt like we didn't win a single header against Genoa. Against Verona, I don't think we exactly covered ourselves in glory either. Monza weren't exactly, flooding the box with crosses, but there were some on occasion. And the most notable of which was when Calderola nearly assisted Pessina for that offside goal. Calderola didn't even jump. Like the ball just kind of landed at him at like standing height and just kind of came off his like head/shoulder and then bounced fortunately for Pessina. And it's like, like you'd want to kind of clear the ball. Before it descends to that height. It's like they say, never let a ball bounce in the box. Likewise, it's a little bit unacceptable for a guy to just reach the ball from a standing position. So, yeah, I don't know. On the whole, I think the defense played well. I was impressed with De Vrij and definitely want to see more of him moving forward, especially given Acerbi's kind of recent struggles. But yeah, I don't think we're at 100% defensively right now. Maybe something like 80% or so. So we're not too far off, but yeah, not perfect either.
Yeah, I was happy to see De Vrij, and he played really well. Acerbi got a good rest. I know we're only playing once a week at this point, but it's still good for him to get some rest. And watching Pavard play was great. To me, what kind of encompassed our defense, or like the strength of our defense, was that one play we didn't even score, but Bastoni kind of crept up, delivered this beautiful cross in, and Pavard almost scored. The goalkeeper made a great save, but that just shows you the kind of potential our defense has and some of the stuff that they do outside of the actual defending. On the defending side, I thought we were pretty organized. We just dominated the game, I think, so it was hard for Monza to really get into the match other than a few pockets. But again, it was the usual suspects making kind of the individual mistakes, right? You had Bastoni got saved by not doing too many squats, and then you had on the goal you had Darmian making the mistake. So I think if we cut out the individual mistakes, we go back to kind of the core team defending that we do, and we can get back to getting clean sheets again.
What I really appreciated yesterday was Pavard doing his best to honor D'Ambrosio with a head wrap midway through the game. Just something you don't see very often, but when you do, D'Ambrosio has to be on the pitch. It's the rule. The defense feels like they keep giving up chances, and I don't want to be overly harsh because I think if you watch too much Inter and not enough of other teams, you can be sucked into this misaligned thinking of that you should never concede chances. Like, obviously, any self-respecting team that isn't, I don't know, Salernitana should be, fighting back over the course of a match and creating goal-scoring chances. So I don't want to be overly harsh. My main issue is that the chances that are being created against us seem to be coming from a lot of individual errors, to Irfan's point, rather than like well-run routines. Like I'd almost sleep better at night if a team put together a really strong counterattack against us rather than Darmian going in recklessly and fouling someone in the box. Like the one is just bound to happen over the course of a season, whereas the individual mistakes, I'm afraid they're going to start compounding. But I was very happy Acerbi didn't play yesterday. He's been struggling lately. It was nice to see De Vrij on the pitch. I thought he was probably our best center back. I know Bastoni contributed a little bit more offensively, but yeah, I thought De Vrij defensively was our best center back, and it was just, we need to continue to get him minutes, keep him in game shape, because we're going to need him.
Acerbi actually played yesterday.
He lost 15 minutes.
He came in for Bastoni. And
why did he come on the left again? Jesus.
As soon as he came on, I'm like, Jesus Christ, left center back? Like, we're going to give up a goal.
Did you see that one play when he was running like as the first guy in the attack?
Yeah, he was like leading a counterattack.
Yeah, Lautaro put the through ball, and he just was slow for that. But it was hilarious. It was, oh, that was a Cherby. The fuck are you doing there?
This big, scraggly looking guy with wild hair and everything. He always looks like a mountain man to me.
Yeah, it's like a permanently disheveled look.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me, yesterday I kind of noticed in the defending, like few times it seemed that it was a bit disorganized in a sense that it felt that like Pavard and De Vrij, maybe these two guys together there, they haven't played, I don't know, when have they played like together the last time. But few times it felt like, because these are the new defensive line there, it felt that, is it because of that players are a bit off in sense of positioning when we tried to like get out of our own half with the ball. We did a few mistakes there, and I remember one play when, was it then Pavard or someone who just completely lost the ball, and then maybe it was Kolpani or someone who was then like, he was tripped right outside of our box, and they got the free kick there. And I remember thought that, okay, maybe this is a bit too much. Maybe you should just smash the ball out and not try to be too fancy with the build-up play.
Yeah,
because
they can get too cute. Yeah.
I think it's partly because Sommer is not that great on the ball, especially his long balls are pretty average, to be honest. He always does this really terrifying thing where he waits to like the absolute last second before the defender closes him down to boot it long. If you guys noticed, like the defender's foot, the attacker like extends his foot to try and close down Sommer, and Sommer kicks it with like a meter of space between him and the forward, and I'm like, man, just kick it 1 second earlier, please. Why do you have to bait the guy to get that close? But anyway,
you just need something to do, Most of the match he's just kind of standing around with our fortress defense. Not much going on for the poor guy.
There's 2 penalties that he hasn't saved, so you can work on that.
But I will say one thing:
you can only save penalties if Jorginho is taking them.
Oh gosh.
Or Mbappe.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the auditions of Kolpani and Carboni? I feel like they both kind of flunked under pressure.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Andrew
they should have destroyed Inter, but not this time.
Exactly. Andrew is, is kind of ruining the credibility of the podcast by making grandiose claims about Kolpani, only for him to put in a performance like that. No.
Well, look, honestly, who played well on Monza yesterday? Name one player. Like they got routed.
True. Look, I felt again like I go back to the tactics. Maybe Palladino is just a bit of a shitter or something, but I just felt like Kolpani and Carboni were kind of getting in each other's ways. Like it's clear that they both want to be on the right flank and cut inwards, and so they kind of took turns at doing that to no effect. You know what I mean? Partly,
I think they were like all over around.
Yeah, they were roaming a lot, but
Carboni was like roaming a lot more. I think Kolpani stayed on the right more, maybe.
So I think they both want to occupy similar spaces, and I know that in previous games it has worked better for them, but I think against us, it was just too little. By the time, they kind of started getting on the ball around our box, it felt like it was the second half that kind of happened. I mean, both guys, especially Carboni, were invisible in the first half. In the second half, around like the hour mark, like I said, I started to notice them picking up the ball in our final third and kind of drift in from the right flank. But at that point, I don't know, I think they just kind of lacked like the space and maybe some belief as well to actually do anything, because unfortunately for Monza, both of our Carboni, our guy, and Kolpani, potentially our future guy, both were pretty mid, as the kids say these days.
Maybe Maybe they need some better like a center forward there to
That's
look for
true.
those
That's true. They don't have,
runs on the box.
that's true.
They need a Sanchez type player.
I was just about to say, did you notice that neither forward came off? So Thuram and Lautaro both played 90 minutes. So I'm taking that as an indication that Inzaghi is going to start Arnautovic and Sanchez against Lazio.
Hopefully. It was also just too risky of an environment to go down to 10 men like that.
Nine men.
We
couldn't risk a 4-goal lead by putting Sanchez and Arnautovic on.
Well, yeah, they're good to at least concede one by getting tackled recklessly in the midfield. This is slightly mercato talk, slightly game talk, but did you notice, so Di Gregorio was out yesterday, as we predicted would be the case, and his agent had some interesting comments midweek about how, I don't know, something to the effect of the door is always open for Inter, even though nothing's imminent. So that got me slightly excited because I'd love to see him eventually replace Summer.
I mean, the door's open, but the wallet's empty. So what's it?
Yeah, it would be. I guess it would be nice to see him at Inter. I'm not sure. Would he be ready to be a starting keeper for Inter? Is he good enough with his feet? I don't know. I haven't watched him
such a weird
that
thing,
much.
right? It's such a weird thing because I mean, it's a very common sense question to ask, and one that we obviously need to, or it's an area of their strengths that we need to really seriously consider. Taking into account the way Inzaghi plays, but I'm kind of not as fussed about that because of what I saw in Handanovic, and what I observed was probably the worst goalkeeper in the league in terms of using his feet suddenly become a solid 7 out of 10 in the course of one season with Spalletti. And that was the first season when we went from, that banter era of I think we started the season with Mancini, then went into De Boer and Pioli and all that kind of stuff. And Salvatore Vecchi, the youth coach, had 2 short spells. Anyway, Spalletti came in at the start of 17-18, and I remember thinking to myself, how are we going to play possession ball with the likes of Kondogbia and Miranda and Handanovic and Skriniar? I didn't know Skriniar at that time, but how are we going to do it? But then somehow miraculously, we did, and Handanovic just really impressed me with how quickly, and he was already 34, 35 at that point in his career. So for him to quickly, become, like I said, to go from just downright bad with his feet to becoming quite serviceable was really impressive. And I guess inspired by his example, I'm no longer too fussed about keepers' ability with their feet, as long as they give me some indication that they're teachable.
Fair.
I feel like most goalkeepers these days are passable with their feet. The types of goalies like Donnarumma,
De Gea.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to next. De Gea, who are just immobile. There aren't too many I can think of like that anymore. I feel like everyone has to have this basic level of competence. It's in vogue right now. It's being taught, and yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be too concerned. Like I said, I've seen Di Gregorio play a decent amount, and it never jumped out to me as a problem. While we're talking about Mercato stuff, unless you guys have any other thoughts on Monza, I did want to hit on Zielinski quickly, because it seems like he's within our grasp on a free transfer. Contract expires with Napoli. All talks of him and De Laurentiis not being able to come to an agreement. So the thought is we're going to use this as an opportunity to sign him on a free transfer. I'm less excited about this than most Inter fans, because I don't think there's an obvious role for him here. I don't view Zielinski as a good Mkhitaryan replacement or substitute. I just don't think has enough dribbling ability, enough forward attacking ability that I would look for someone to replace Mkhitaryan. Zielinski feels more like a lateral passing midfielder than anything else. Jay, in a separate conversation, I think you compared to like a Regista type player. So curious if any of you have any thoughts on bringing him in here potentially on a free transfer. I don't know, something about this Napoli team. I feel like you're almost buying the stock at its peak and there's only downside left here. And these types of transfers have worked out for us in the past. So I understand why people are excited about it. I understand he is widely considered one of the best midfielders in the league. But with Frattesi already here and hopefully Asllani development, I struggle to see an obvious fits for Zielinski.
You're right on that. You're 100% correct. There is no obvious role waiting for him. I'd compare him more to like, in some ways, kind of like Malinovsky. He just wants to blast it. He's got a great shot on him, and that's obviously a big positive. But yeah, like you said, he doesn't possess the same kind of mobility as Mkhitaryan, and I'm constantly amazed by how, you know, he racks up so many kilometers during the game, but yet at 90 minutes he picks up the ball in our own half, intercepts the ball in our own half, and then just, glides forward to the edge of the opponent's box. We need someone who can do that and preferably score a bit more while he's at it. That's what we want to eventually replace the soon to be 36-year-old Mkhitaryan. But Zielinski is not that. He's more of a passer than a runner. That's not to say he's like a completely immobile player either. He's technical. He's intelligent, and he links up well. But it's increasingly clear, like I said earlier, how much we rely on Mkhitaryan and how much we rely on that particular skill set of his. And maybe it's possible that we don't need to replace his skill set identically. Maybe we can get like a different skill set to come in and have the team will play differently, but maybe the team will be better. Who knows? But just given how much we lack without Mkhitaryan and how well we play with Mkhitaryan, it's hard to kind of see us make do without that particular build of player, if you know what I'm saying. And as you said, Zielinski is not that comparable to that build of player.
And Jay, like, I agree with you completely, but it's one of those things where what Inzaghi does, and he has a fairly kind of rigid view of the players that are on the team. Like, he has, starters and then their replacements. He doesn't usually shift too much. And so, it's a question of, I think Zielinski is great. I do rate him as a player. The fact that he'd be coming over, on a free, quote unquote, would be great. But the question really is, when you've got a manager who views Barella, and then he has a backup in Frattesi, and then you have Hakan, and you have a backup in Asllani, then like, where exactly does he envision Zielinski coming in? And Inzaghi usually doesn't change the tactics and the way we play. He usually just subs in a player who can do that role, probably not as well as the starter. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how he views Zielinski fitting in.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe there's a concern there about the overall kind of recruitment strategy in terms of, I mean, are we picking this guy up for, like 5 million per season? And I don't think he's almost certain he's not growth decree eligible either. So 10 million gross per season for a guy who has no, screaming need for him. And all this is happening in the backdrop of us with Arnautovic and Sanchez as our forwards as well, So as much as I like Zielinski and I've liked him for a long time, it's unfortunate that we're in a position to kind of not be able to prioritize him, because a player like that, I definitely think could be a really excellent member of the squad. But again, it's just like we have bigger needs right now. And that's I find it funny to hear myself saying that, because I always hate hearing that, because it just sounds like one of those typical management excuses, but it's really true at this instance. We need a forward who can actually score and who can kind of run a little bit, because that's what Thuram and Lautaro do. They run, and Arnautovic and Sanchez, just simply too slow at this point, and too kind of injury prone. So we need a healthy, even if it's just like a bit of a jack of all trades, we need just like a kind of standard, reliable forward. And I'd say that's, as ironic as it sounds, like I say that's a bigger need than an established kind of top quality midfielder.
Yeah, I would say the forward and a backup for Mkhitaryan, because as important as he is and as well as he plays, again, like, you need some kind of redundancy in that position if it's such a critical part of the team, and it doesn't look like we have anyone like that. Miko, do you think Zielinski can be that kind of a player, even similar to Mkhitaryan, if not as good?
Well, yeah, I agree with you guys that he's not gonna be your new Mkhitaryan in terms of dribbling and so on, but I think he will help with the passing ability, because we need to have that kind of network on the left flank, as you, Jay, mentioned earlier, and I believe that Zielinski is like fast enough with his feet, and then of course the passing ability and the vision, that he will help us out there enough. And as a transfer, I see him, if we pull this transfer off, it's more like a opportunistic thing than anything else. That because he's available, he's like a top Serie A midfielder. We just sign him because we need a
It's just an opportunity.
Just a free player who's available, who's really good. There's no like consideration for fit, really.
Yeah. And the question is, sorry, go on.
I'm not like totally opposing that, because he's not like a perfect fit, because I'm not sure can we find a player who's a good fit to be like a sub for Mkhitaryan, but also like possess enough like basic quality.
Kopani, apparently.
Yeah, but is he like a good enough? I don't know. Is he good enough?
Are we tricking ourselves? Are we kind of tricking ourselves into searching for a like-for-like replacement? I think I probably am a little bit, kind of, again, having constantly surprised myself at how much I look at Mkhitaryan during the game and just going, yeah, that's critical. That's key to the way we play. Yeah, like I said, I think I am kind of pigeonholing my own views to seeing or to looking for players who do the same thing. And yeah, there's not many. And the question is, do we need to?
But I feel like that's what Inzaghi does. I mean, I would much rather not think in that way, but I feel like that's kind of how Inzaghi views the world, right? So I think we're trying to figure out what he would probably do. But I will say, we have a decent record recently of buying players like this that might not fit what we consider to be the need. So, I'll go back even to Eriksen. I remember that was a big discussion when we were signing Eriksen, that he doesn't really fit the system. He doesn't really play anywhere. And yeah, it took him a while, but he was pretty influential for us. And then I'd say the same thing about Hakan. When we got Hakan, it's like, where is he going to play? He's not really that good, and it doesn't seem like an obvious fit for us anywhere. Where he's just coming over because he's free, and that turned out to be huge for us. And he played in a way that we didn't really think he could play. And not even put Thuram in that same boat. Like, oh, he's mainly a converted winger. Not sure he can do the things we need him to do, and we're just getting him because he's on a free. So, the club does have some history of being able to kind of integrate these players. I guess like they view it as like, if they have certain qualities, if they have certain skills, the system can be kind of implemented with them and make them contribute.
I just got twitchy thinking about Conte subbing on Eriksen in the 95th minutes just to humiliate the guy as he's rocking a fresh, buzz cuts, or trimmed down haircut, and just the look of just disbelief on his face, which is probably the reason why he has not thanked the club since he moved on.
I'm still salty we didn't give him like at least a farewell. He didn't say. Yeah, I remember him not like putting like an Instagram post or anything, but he did say in like a Danish TV interview that he was very happy at, in Italy. Bullshit. And that had things not gone the way they did, that he would probably still be there. So I don't hold any harsh feelings towards the guy, but like that Conte shit was that was not right. That was bullying, is what it was.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to give him the only trophy of his career, and I think he maybe scored the last goal.
He scored the goal that won us. He scored the goal that like secured the result. I think it was 2-0 against Crotone, I think.
Yeah, because we didn't actually win it until Sassuolo beat Atalanta, but I think like his winning goal was like the last kick.
Yeah.
The last goal we scored. Anyway,
something like that.
All right, let's talk about this Super Coppa that no one wants to talk about. So we're taking our talents to the Middle East. We're heading, well, the podcast isn't, but going to Saudi Arabia for this game. It's a 4-team tournament because why not, I guess. So it's us and Lazio playing the winner of Fiorentina and Napoli. This is the most blatant cash grab I've ever seen in my life. That's okay. No one here cares. Well, maybe it's besides Miko. No one here cares about this tournament. It's to Jay's earlier point. Curious to see what we do from a lineup perspective. Knowing Inzaghi, I fully expect him to roll out the regulars and try to win this thing. But if you were to ask me like what I want, it's like start Arnautovic, start Sanchez, start Frattesi, just basically roll out the team that lost in the Coppa Italia. The big news out of Lazio's camp is that Immobile is out. He's going to miss this game. Lazio are actually playing Lecce as we record. They're up 1-0, and they started Felipe Anderson as a sort of false nine striker. So it's going to be a different looking Lazio team than we're used to, but I'd argue it's probably a bad thing because Immobile is such a washed player at this point. I'd rather him be on the pitch. So I don't know. Whoever wants to jump in, feel free. If someone wants to convince me we should try to win the Super Coppa for reasons other than money, I implore you to do so. But this just seems like a massive waste of time when you consider we're in the middle of a league chase. And I guess my last point is the way these dumb fixtures are being made is that Juve are basically going to have a game in hand on us, maybe 2 games in hand on us by the time we next take the pitch, which just is going to put a massive amount of pressure on us to produce some points to keep up with them. So this is really a no-win situation in my eyes.
Yeah, you are not wrong. as much as I like titles, I consider this one like a really unnecessary, especially as it's possibly 2 games instead of 1. So it doesn't feel like it fits at all.
They may as well make it 3 teams, 2 games of 45-minute halves like they did in the Pirelli Cup or the Birra Moretti Trophy or whatever it was.
Yeah, Birra Moretti, yeah. They should do that. And this should be in the preseason and not in the middle of the season.
That's another thing. It should definitely be ahead of the season, like as a season opener kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Jay, I'm gonna steal your line, Jay. I'm gonna say this is our only chance at a trophy this year, so
you're damn right about that.
But
Inzaghi's not even going to take youth players. He should take a handful of SARS and whatever that guy's name is,
Stankovic,
yeah, and whoever the hell else we even have, Atkins and Miro or something. That's a midfielder who's playing pretty well apparently.
Stabile,
yeah, that's another one. Yeah, but does anyone here even expect that? I don't. I expect him to take the regular full squad and then just play a fairly rotated side across the game or 2. God forbid we make it to the final. Yeah, I mean, this.
If we make it to the final, then he will
play the full team.
Probably, yeah, the first team. I'm sure of it. But let's hope it's the rotated lineup in the.
Look, give me
Give
the
me
Lazio
Aldero.
Yeah, give me Aldero, Bisek, Acerbi, and then God, we don't even have a left centre back, do we? Yeah,
No, like if
Acerbi.
Bastoni's starting this game.
yeah, Jesus, Stabile, maybe. And then
This is a great chance to give Buchanan minutes. Like, I can't think of a better environment.
Good point. Yeah,
I'm totally sure he's not gonna play.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure he's not going to.
He's not gonna play before March. I'm sure of it. If there's not big injuries or anything.
Yeah, we can't risk the Super Coppa by playing Buchanan. It's too great a risk. Yeah, well, I mean, I want Asllani to get 90 minutes, just to appease Irfan.
Thank you for that.
But
counterpoint, you actually need to play Hakan 90 minutes because he's unavailable and back in Syria.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think we should use Asllani now because he needs more minutes, so he's ready for the Fiorentina match as well.
Give him a half each then. Look,
we're going Italy 1950s World Cup where you have two players deputizing. Don't know who to start. Let's give them both a half.
Yeah, pretty much what Mancini and was a guy he always used to rotate with. I can't remember. Was it Gianni Rivera? I can't remember. Anyway, just play the shitters. Just play Asllani, play Klaassen. If Sensi hasn't fucked off by then, play him. Here's the really the kind of darkly humorous thing is I'd say play the reserves for 90 minutes, but we both know they can't play 90 minutes. So that's something.
Yeah, it's true. You can't play all the reserves. They haven't played much, and they're supposed to play 90 minutes. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, so, especially Sanchez and Arnautovic don't have 90 minutes in their legs.
Yeah.
Counterpoint, play Sanchez 90 minutes and hope he literally exhausts himself to the point that he's unusable and we're forced to buy forward.
That would be pretty good. Maybe someone takes one for the team and puts a key of cocaine in his luggage as he's traveling to Saudi Arabia, and then
Hey, I don't know if you saw Vidal's quotes, but he said Sanchez, is the best forward on our team and should be playing more.
He did. He said it makes him want to die that Limone plays Mkhitaryan instead of Sanchez.
Speaking of kilos of cocaine, maybe Vidal should put his down for saying something like that.
I thought you were going to say something about. That's a good one. But I thought you were going to say something about Cuadrado and his Colombian heritage, but that would be highly, highly racist. No.
But what about Lazio? Have you guys watched their game?
This is the worst Lazio in 5 years. We beat them pretty comprehensively, and I don't think they would care that much about this trophy either. Maybe marginally. You'd think some of these small teams would care about the Coppa and stuff because it's their chance to win silverware, but it seems like they don't. It just really seems like they don't. So.
Yeah, I saw Sarri commenting about the Coppa Italia. He said something like he doesn't care that at all, but because it's a Roman derby now, so that's why it's important. But other than that, he doesn't give a shit about Coppa Italia. So I'm just thinking, does he care about this Super Coppa now at all? But
probably
we're gonna see on Friday. We're gonna see.
You think Brozovic is gonna watch us play?
Brozovic in the stands, yeah.
I hope we can see I hope a star-studded group of Ronaldo, Neymar, Brozovic is all watching us from the stands.
Conte, Benzema.
Apparently Benzema hasn't shown up for 3 training seasons or some shit. He's been linked to us.
He's been meeting with he's been meeting with Morata. That's why.
What a dick! I remember he was I want to go to Saudi Arabia and all this kind of stuff, and then apparently he's getting paid 200 million or something obscene, and that he's just not even showing up to training. What an absolute prick!
Yeah.
But this Lazio team has sort of recovered in form. I know back, I forget when it was, we were having some fun with, are they going to finish in the bottom half of the table, which I don't think anyone here actually believed, but we were having some fun with it. But they're on a good run of form. They've won a decent amount of games on the bounce now since their loss to us. I think they've won 3 matches in a row, 4 matches in a row.
Now.
Yeah, that I was about to mention that I thought that they were like definitely out of everything there's to fight for, but indeed, if they win today, or was it that did it end? Not yet.
It's not over yet.
They are winning.
They haven't lost since we beat them in Rome back in December.
Yeah.
So they're in a good run of form.
So they're 5th now, so they are right back in the Champions League spot race.
They've won 3 in a row, while everyone else in the top 8. Those kind of those teams like Roma, Atalanta, Napoli, Bologna, they've started kind of dropping points and stuff. So
yeah,
good time for them. But yeah, I'm still not impressed by Lazio. Like I said, without Milinkovic-Savic, without Immobile, or with Immobile completely past his prime, they don't look even half as dangerous as they did, this time a year ago. So, and as you said, they don't care about the Coppa or this trophy either. So, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to preview this match because you just don't know what the managers are going to do from a lineup standpoint.
Exactly. I think
the players will be like, of course they are like playing.
Yeah, there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do there, so they'll probably be really zoned in. But then they might also want to get out of there quickly, so they might want to lose and then just go home. So I don't know.
They might want to lose.
Who can blame them?
Hopefully not that attitude.
All right.
At least calhanoglu was he made some comment about the match that they're looking for the defending the Super Coppa.
Could you imagine Morata just takes our players on a tour of like, look at all these great sites, trying to goad them into his summer transfer?
So he can sell them to the world's richest clubs at like 15 million each.
Yeah, like Sanchez, look at these amazing facilities.
Yeah, he's like, wow, look at Sanchez. Wow, look at Sensi. Check out Sensi. Look at this prized possession we have.
It's like a traveling roadshow of like, oh, please buy my art.
I mean, look, if we can somehow like go to Saudi Arabia and come back with like 2 or 3 empty plane seats, I wouldn't complain.
Until those seats are Lautaro, Thuram, and Borla.
Yeah, pretty much. But realistically, it's not happening. So, yeah, look, it's hard to get over the level of apathy, I think, just surrounding this game. But if we win it, then why not? But
yeah, it's a bit more money, like more than what we get from Sensi sales. So. But
really, is it more than 2 million?
I don't know if we get to the final. If we don't get to the final, then it's like the difference is a lot more, I think.
Do we even make a profit for traveling there, considering we have to buy plane tickets and all that kind of stuff and book a hotel?
Yeah,
are we out of pocket? Are we paying to lose the competition?
I'd like to think the kingdom is funding our hotel and our accommodations.
Yeah, that's my assumption.
No one thought using those hotels otherwise.
I will say, I said it as a joke, but honestly, if Brozovic isn't in the stands watching us, I'm going to be pretty offended.
Yeah, I'm very pissed off. But we can't even travel half an hour to come watch us.
But is it even the same city? I don't know. Where's the Al Nassr?
My Saudi geography is lacking, I will admit.
Yeah. Can I just make one comment on the Coppa Italia while we're on this topic of cups and everything? Like, I've always found it. I mean, like, look, on one hand, there's the argument that the players already play too many games as it is, which I agree with. But isn't it ridiculous that the Coppa Italia, the big teams start from like the 3rd round and they always play at home? Like, it's just sort of like blatantly biased towards the top sides. That's why you never get any of these kind of interesting matchups like you do in the
English.
The FA Cup, for example, where you have like all the teams start from round one, and that's why you have like Manchester United against like shitheads FC down at like local Scumbridge or whatever, playing at the local park outside the pub, and it's kind of fun when you see these games. Like, it's a chance to use your youngsters as well. So I think there's a bit more of a reason to integrate. There's more of a channel to integrate youngsters into your team in English football with these FA Cup and Carabao Cup and that kind of thing. But here it's like you start at the third round and you're at home, so you're kind of expected to win and then go straight to the quarters or semi-finals or whatever it is. So
Yeah,
I think it's a bit of a shit competition, but
I agree.
Yeah.
We should buy like a Serie D team, like Wrexham style, and then just promote it
and
with the pod. It could be the
sense.
official pod team.
I think you'd have to bankroll that acquisition, Irfan.
We had like a not Pro Patria, we had like an AC Patria, like some real shit like feeder team. I remember because we sent Kondogbia's brother there when we signed Kondogbia. When we signed Kondogbia as part of the deal, I believe we also signed his brother, Evans.
That's right.
Kondogbia.
Not his agent's brother, the other brother.
Yeah, and he played there. And we had a couple of other youngsters go there, but it ultimately ended up probably like most of our financial ventures just being a complete waste of money. It stopped.
Look, the English game gets a lot of unnecessary hype for the on-field performance, when in reality, I think the talent gap maybe isn't as large as some people like to say. But a big reason they receive this talent hype is because they do such a better job with everything else, whether it be the pitches, the marketing, the broadcasting. And this is just another example of a superior product where the FA Cup is this goofy thing that, like, if you're a fan of fourth tier English teams, you get this once in a lifetime chance of like playing in Wembley if you make a semifinal against Liverpool. That's something that like people seek, people want. In Italy, the culture is different. No one cares about this tournament until they accidentally end up in the semifinals. Then for some irredeemable reason, it's a two-leg competition. It just nothing about it makes sense. The reform, I don't know if you guys saw, there was like a proposed reform. I forget who it was from. That would cut Serie down to 18 teams, Serie B down as well significantly, and it would basically third or maybe even half the amount of teams in Serie C. I would love to see something like that, and it would also make something like one of these like truly Federation Cups more doable. Because honestly, like if I have to sit here and tell you Coppa Italia memories, and like besides one tournament we won, like my mind immediately goes to the time we played that Series C team,
Pordenone.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was kind of fun. Like they took us to penalties, I think, or extra time. Like that was a good experience. And like, yeah, I mean, playing in it was awful, but getting these lower sides exposed to like top level football is just, it's good for the Confederation, and it's never going to happen, but a guy can dream.
I always knew Andrew was a Confederate supporter, but look.
But comparisons to FA Cup, I think it's a bit unfair for Italians in a sense that FA Cup, it's the oldest football competition in the world. So there's like a automatic heritage or like
prestige.
How do you call it? Yeah.
As opposed to the progressives in Italy cutting their cloth with these new intriguing formats.
Yeah, of course. I agree your suggestion that they should like do something to the current situation, because it is like totally not relevant competition for any top team at all. It's like what's the Carabao Cup, or how is it? I don't know why there's even this cup. Yeah, why it's there in the first place, but other than money. But
advertise Carabao.
yeah, like what? But it's really low level in terms of like prestige and no one respects Coppa Italia, so they should do something to that competition. But it will be hard to market it or like make it a better product than. Okay, maybe it's not hard to do it a better product than what it's now because it's so poor at the moment. But it's hard to be nowhere near close to FA Cup, if you know what I mean.
There's that like show on Sky Sports. It's called like FA Cup Memories or something. And they show just like, or famous moments from the FA Cup or whatever. And they show like all these replays of like that time that Wobbleton Town beat Luton FC, in the fifth division miracle where, some shit team beat some Premier League team and stuff like that and made it all the way up to the quarterfinals or something. And it's a good watch, I remember when MK Dons beat Van Gaal's Man United like 4-0. And in the Copa del Rey even, we had that incident where Albacete, I think in Serie or Liga Adelante or maybe even League 3, beat Real Madrid 4-1, and you don't see that in Italy ever. Sometimes you see like a Salernitana losing to like a Brescia or something. I think it's like shit Serie A teams losing to like some half decent Serie B teams, but other than that, nothing like kind of remotely comparable to these fantasy tales of like a C tier team making it to the quarters or whatever.
It's hard in Italy because like half the country's on strike, so you probably imagine at any given time, half the players in Serie C and Serie D are probably not available.
All right. Well, I think we've insulted enough of our audience for one episode. Might be a good time to wrap it up.
Very good.
I think we're losing cabin pressure here, but I think you get the point in just terms of no one on this podcast is excited about the Super Coppa. And it probably speaks to just the fact they need to do something to fix this tournament. And they're just chasing the money. And I kind of respect it in a way, but can we at least chase the money in the preseason if we're going to do this moving forward?
Can we chase some good money? Is it again? How much even is it?
Yeah, actually, I just learned this, that Italians will make like 16 million out of this, and Spanish league or Spanish association, whatever, they have also this four team competition like us, and they make like 40 millions.
40? Yeah,
40. We make like 1.6. so it's like,
are they playing in Saudi Arabia as well?
Yeah. Oh, it's like the same format.
Jesus Christ. You remember when they were like upset? The Saudis were like pissed off that like there were no good teams coming to the Super Coppa. They're like, it's internally shit teams, or maybe they were including us among the shit teams. I don't know, but they were upset there was no Juventus and Milan.
but yeah, what is funny is that next season it's like Fiorentina Atalanta in one semifinal in this year's Coppa Italia. So other one will be in the Coppa final. So they will be in the Coppa in the Super Coppa tournament next season as well. So Saudis aren't happy. Yeah. But this prize money thing, this just proves that Italians are like really, really desperate. And of course, Barcelona and Real Madrid, they are like more marketable, so they draw more money, but that's quite a big difference to Italians.
Yeah, that's shocking. 16 compared to 40 is it's shocking.
Yeah, I mean, the clubs are the best Italian clubs are just less marketable to the casual fans than the top English clubs, Barca, Real, Bayern. You know how it is. Just it's a completely different kind of market presence.
Here I thought every second football fan in the United States was walking around with either a Pulisic or Leao jersey.
You need to have refined taste. It's you need to be a bit of a connoisseur of the game to appreciate the seriea world.
Look, there's a Nike store in downtown Detroit. It's maybe like 2 blocks from my work. And if you go in there, they're not selling a single football kit. Like there is no market for this types of stuff. If you go to like a bigger Nike store in like New York City, you will find some football stuff, but it's all Barcelona. I don't know. Are there any English sides with Nike right now? I don't even remember. But yeah, it's pretty much Barcelona and then the occasional,
Yeah, PSG.
Yeah, PSG,
That's a
the
good call.
Jordan jersey and stuff like that.
And that's marketing for the tourists, really. The tourists who visit New York. Probably not a lot of locals in New York buying that sort of stuff.
Aside from
Who the fuck are these PSG guys?
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
They
right.
wouldn't last a second in New York. A horrendous impression of some typical, vaguely Italian background New Yorker.
Not bad, actually. Not bad. Now Irfan will pleasure us with his Australian accent. Go ahead, Irfan.
I was gonna say we're very lucky. We're such a diverse group, so we can kind of get away with like any and all kind of stereotypes. It's pretty nice.
Basically a South Park, episode going on here.
Pretty much.
All right. Well, we'll wrap this up. We'll be back next week to recap the Super Coppa. The final for the Super Coppa would be Monday nights. If we were to make it, we'll figure out something for you guys logistically regarding a recap or preview of that. But once again, that other match is Fiorentina-Napoli. I fully expect Napoli to lose that match. So you can look forward to Fiorentina in the final.
2 games in a row against Fiorentina. I hate that. I always hated that when it happens in like season mode in Pro Evolution Soccer. You know what I mean? Back in the day.
If only we were playing this tournament in the preseason like it was intended to be.
Can't wait to see Brozovic again. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah, I just checked that Al Nassr is based in Riyadh, so
There you go.
he should be there. He needs to be there.
Now, I guess I'm obligated to ask for a Lazio Super Coppa predictions. So, Irfan, what's your prediction?
Gosh. Oh, man. 2-0 Inter Aslani brace.
Jay?
0-0 after 90 minutes, 0-0 after extra time, and then we lose 1-4 on penalties.
They go straight to penalties. There's no extra time.
All right, in that case, we lose 1-4 on penalties. With calhanoglu scoring the opening penalty, and then Lautaro, Aslani, and Sanchez missing the others.
Miko?
Let's go with 2-2, and then penalties we lose. And go home happily.
I am openly rooting for a 2-0 Lazio win. Give me goals from Zaccagni and Felipe Anderson.
Very good.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate it, and we'll be back next week. Catch you then.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.